Good evening, good afternoon. Welcome back to High Top Sports Oregon. I'm Cody the Professor. We got Derek the Duck. But first, this video is powered by BetUS. Thank you to our proud sponsor. We're going to go ahead and get right to it. Ducks in trouble, allegedly. I don't know. You sent me an article last night, said the Duck fans are not happy around the Duck Pond. They are pissed. So let's go ahead and get into it. So just give me the 30-second synopsis real fast.
Yeah, so basically what we're getting at is Oregon played Colorado last year, obviously, and just blew them out of the water with Deion's poverty little program there. And so it comes out about a year later that they put in a request for an investigation to look into Oregon potentially illegally, accessing some of Colorado's tapes through the Catapult video service, which a lot of college football teams use. Basically, they were saying that Dan Lanning, not necessarily just Dan, but somebody within the program was accessing Colorado's videos, had a little inside information as to what they were going to be able to bring to the table, and clearly went out and decimated them on the field. So it was more of a, I think they were watching us practice. That's why they kicked their ass on the field type of deal. And I think that's kind of the basis of Colorado's argument.
Now, did you guys have any coaches swap over to Colorado, or any transfer players went to Colorado, and or like anything like that in the last since this investigation has been pushed out there?
No, I don't believe so. So I think the last person to come from Colorado is Nico Reed, but he's been with the program now. This will be his third year in a Duck uniform. So that was even prior to Deion being on campus. So there's no real like crossover in terms of personnel, players, that type of deal.
Because that's the first thing I thought is like, a player went to from Oregon to Colorado, and he was like, hey, we were watching your film, a little Patriot stuff.
Right.
So, all right. So obviously he's claiming that the Ducks are cheating, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Yeah.
why
Yep.
they won, because you guys knew the formations, what they were going to do, yada yada yada. You still have to line up and play. I mean, obviously there was a problem with Michigan and sign stealing and stuff like that. So I was reading the article, but it sounds like that software program came out, that the owners of the software, and said that was not true, correct?
That is correct. So they went back and did an internal investigation to see where access points had come from into the Colorado footage, and they had found that nothing out of the ordinary was found. There was no compromised data. There was no illegal access given. So, I mean, that kind of squashes the argument right there, which is, it just kind of makes it more funny to me at this point that the investigation had taken place. They're like, no, nothing happened. When all along we could have seen, what was taking place on the field the entire time, where his team just came out. They were under talented, under prepared. They just flat out got beat. I don't think it took a rocket scientist to figure out prior to the Oregon Colorado game that Colorado's line had the talent equivalency of a middle school football team, right? I mean, your kid's
Wasn't
football
good.
team, you're right. I hear your kid's football team, your boy will be lighting it up on the sack sheet and whatnot. So I think he would have success against Colorado's offensive line. So that's just the kind of the part that's funny to me, is that it wasn't a competitive game. At 0 point throughout that game was it competitive. Oregon was scoring at will in the first half. Colorado couldn't move the ball, constantly on the quarterback. Shedeur had absolutely zero time. It was just a decimation from start to finish. And I don't think it was a product of, them having to go into the data to compete with a team who can barely squeak by Colorado State. No, I think what that is, I think Colorado got embarrassed on national TV after getting hyped up by the media. And it doesn't help you have people like Keyshawn Johnson, who, what show is he on? He's on an FS1 show, Undisputed, I think. And he'd come out and he's like, oh, I was talking to an Oregon staffer and they told me they were looking at Colorado's film and how they were talking to every coach in the country doing that. Like they have to do everything and the most to go beat Deion. And I don't think it helps that you have these people who are in the national spotlight who are, who have some credibility, right? Right. Keyshawn's a
Yeah.
Super Bowl champion. Like his name carries some merit in the college football world. So then for him to come out and say, I was talking to a staffer and that he admitted they were cheating and, Deion's team, this wasn't like who their team is. I don't think that helps the narrative whatsoever. But
I know Duck fans are hot about this because nobody wants to be called a cheater. but I'm gonna say that, and this is old, and it was brought back up, right? And that's what stirred the
Correct.
pot.
That's correct.
I'm gonna say this. Coach Prime is probably minus a certain politician that everybody knows of. I'm gonna say probably like he just knows how to keep his name trending. Okay, like he's a master at trending. I mean, you get on Twitter and it's trending all the time. Shador just signed I got my Nike app that he just signed. They're releasing a new shoe with for Shador, and so sometimes when you think it's quiet at Colorado, I think it's not only intentional. I think it's the master plan. I think he's playing chess to keep his name high and relevant, and it helps with recruiting and everything else. But there is some backlash with that too. That these media outlets are gonna pump that name and pump whatever narrative they want. And it's a narrative that a lot of them think that Prime's gonna do it, and even some Colorado fans think that they might, mess around and get in the playoffs or what have you. That's besides the point. I'm going to say this. If it wasn't the Ducks, it would have been Washington. If it wasn't, you know what I mean? It's just the Ducks are the flavor of the week. Maybe he had some duck bisque and was like, I think I'll bring up that little investigation from last year. So I wouldn't take it to heart, Duck fans. Like it, I know that's not. I know I'm just preaching to the choir because they're gonna take it to heart. But I'm telling you, this is a master plan by Coach Prime. This is what he does. He's very good at it. It's very effective. A lot of coaches don't want their teams even talked about. Some of the most conservative coaches, Florida Billy Napier, he don't want to answer team stuff. Dan Lanning is one of them that's not flashy like that. If he could just cut off all media access, he would probably do that, right? But
Yeah.
But when you're trying to resurrect a program that was as bad as Colorado, you need all the flash and help you can get, because that was a bad program. They don't have a lot of money. They're trying. Coach Prime is trying his darndest to get talent in there, and it's hard. But to do that, sometimes you got to poke the bear, and sometimes that comes with a big hit from Colorado State because you run your mouth, or what so have you. He's always in the news though. He's always on YouTube. He's always trending, and it's always a topic about what Coach Prime said. So, hats off to him, because does a hell of a job at that. I know Duck fans are going to be happy at all about it. Do you guys play him this year?
No, unfortunately not. When they dipped to the Big 12 and Oregon headed to greener pastures, that kind of put a nix in their future scheduling plans. And, Deion and Dan, they kind of do have like a little, I don't want to call it a beef, because neither of them will come out and put the other coach's name in their mouth, but they're very good at implying certain things about the other coach. And, Deion, to your credit, is extremely calculated. And a very bright individual. Deion's an incredibly smart man. He understands what good publicity, bad publicity, all publicity is good.
Yep.
And he understands that, especially at a program like Colorado. It's a way of remaining relevant in the national media, maybe while they're still trying to build up a little credibility in the college football world, like you said, for these recruits who they are trying to get up to Boulder and da-da-da-da-da. But it goes back to Oregon and Colorado's meeting where they were in the pregame locker room, and the most famous quote of the college football season arguably was uttered when Dan Lanning says, "They're playing for clicks, we're playing for wins." And I think to a degree, what he's saying is, Colorado, they're bringing in all this national media. Lil Wayne was there, bringing in Warren Sapp, and Keyshawn Johnson and Chris Brown and all these other these Hollywood people, bringing them onto the sideline. And I think he's saying, they're flashy. That's cool. They can be flashy, but we're a football team here. And I think that's what it was. Obviously, after the game, Deion had some things to say about Dan. He wasn't very happy about how he approached the pregame meeting. Wasn't very happy about the obviously his team's on-field performance. Just he's not a Duck fan as we speak right now for obvious reasons, and I think this just kind of adds fuel to the fire. So although they had come out, speaking about Catapult, had come out and said nothing happened. Colorado didn't even continue to press with their investigation. So after the NCAA had reached out prior to Catapult's investigation, Colorado never even returned the call to the NCAA. So they didn't press for a secondary investigation. They didn't press for a third-party investigation. They had kind of just given that up. So, like I said, although Duck fans, that realistically, we shouldn't have too much to get fired up about. I know Colorado and Deion will always be a hot topic in the Duck world for obvious reasons. So I'm with it. I'm going to continue to shit on Colorado. I hope, when he goes out tonight, we see North Dakota State put up about, 42 on them.
I mean, very good, very, very good program.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, they're no scratch, and that's not even me just shitting on Colorado. This is like North Dakota State. If you don't know, which I'm sure most of you do, is they are a perennial national championship contender in the FCS level,
Bama
and have been a dominant. Yeah, basically, they've been a dominant program for about 18 years now. So Colorado, it's not a cakewalk by any stretch. I think if they come in there and take North Dakota State a little too lightly, I think we could be having a very interesting conversation tomorrow morning.
For sure. All right, Duck fans, just a shorter one today. We definitely wanted to talk about it. I think, it's funny. We bring up the Colorado State thing. It's funny that I will say Coach Prime, the last couple jabs he's taken has taken teams that he doesn't play. That's why I asked if you guys play him again. So I think he learned his lesson. Maybe let's not poke that bear that can actually eat us. Let's poke the bear that can't get to us. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, he's poking the Colorado States of the world. I know he's beefing with Coach Jay and Colorado State right now. So I think that's a little more his level currently. I don't think he's going to be beefing with the Kirby Smarts, the Ryan Days, the Dan Lannings of the world.
Yeah, for sure. Super excited. It's game week. You got a powerhouse of a team coming in Idaho. I don't even know what they're. I think the Vandals or something. I don't.
The Vandals, baby.
It sounds like a biker gang. Yeah, so we will have, after the game, we will have the first live call-in show. So super excited about that. I'm sure Derek will be fired up, hopefully. I mean, any given Saturday, you never know.
I don't want to say. I think we know. This might just be the soundbite of the year if this doesn't happen, but I think Oregon is a lock against Idaho. Bettors, we know not to use the word lock, but come on now.
I know.
It's a lock. Yeah.
So it'll be a good one before we get into some serious play. And the format is, all you got to do, we'll have a link in the description. You just click the link, come on in. We probably will just block out your face. It'll just be audio only. And then you can go ahead. You get 60 seconds. Tell us what you think, what you like, what you don't like. It's a win line and a vent line when you lose. So we do it on the Gator channel. It's a hoot. We love it. So, and then I think you're coming on High Top Sports morning show Saturday, game day.
I won't be on this Saturday. I'll be on next Saturday.
Saturday.
So I was on the previous Saturday.
Yep. So next Saturday, not this Saturday, next Saturday, Derek will be on that. So go ahead to High Top Sports original channel. Go ahead and so you can see him there. It's a hoot. It's a lot of fun. It's our version of ESPN Game Day. So, all right, guys. I'm Cody the Professor, Derek the Duck, and we will see you later.